Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and something just came across my desk that I thought I would share with everyone because this kind of goes along with something I've tried to tell people over the years, and it's something that strength and conditioning coaches have noted for many, many years. But the problem is that in exercise science, this hasn't been studied very much because, to be honest, there isn't a great deal of interest in hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is usually the biggest concern of bodybuilders and more recreational lifters, whereas in the majority of athletes care about performance, and we know that as you get stronger or your performance increases, hypertrophy is going to happen. We don't usually sit around investing a lot of resources into finding what's going to give you 5% or 10% more hypertrophy, because all we care about is the hypertrophy that you're gaining making you stronger? Is it improving your performance in some way? But such a study was done, and I like this because I've tried to tell people, this is a debate Alan and I had, Alan Aragon at one time, was that the research that's out there doesn't actually look at the way powerlifters and strength athletes actually train when they're doing studies. So you have no way to assess with the data if powerlifting produces maximum hypertrophy or not, because it's never studied. The way strength athletes train in the real world is never ever studied in a lab. They go do some bullshit like 3 sets with 90% intensity on a leg extension, which is useless. No powerlifter does that. No strength athlete, no strongman, no American football player, no rugby player, no strength athletes do that shit. So they've wasted money and efforts researching bullshit like that will never be used in the real world, that isn't used in the real world, is not used by successful athletes. We need to be using protocols that are successfully used by athletes in the real world to make comparisons, not some arbitrary thing that a researcher made up that nobody would ever use in a million fucking years. But in this case, we actually have protocols very similar to what bodybuilders use and very similar to what powerlifters use. And they took 17 experienced athletes, people who have been lifting, I'm going to assume lifting at least a year, so they're out of their novice phase, and they put them on programs. I don't have the full study, I can only see the abstract, but from what I can gather, they had the bodybuilding group or the hypertrophy group, which again, I hate that term because thinking that a rep range causes more hypertrophy than another is really doesn't work that way in the real world when you observe it in real athletes. They improve different types of performance differently, but they don't seem to increase hypertrophy differently. So I hate this term hypertrophy training. It's stupid. All weightlifting induces hypertrophy if there's progressive overload. And if there's enough progressive overload, it induces maximum hypertrophy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So they studied this, and they had guys on the bodybuilding type training doing 3 sets of 10 with 90 seconds between, which is about right, a minute and a half with sets of 10, versus the strength group doing 7 sets of 3 with 3 minutes in between. Again, very close to how most powerlifters and strength athletes would train if they're using any sort of volume instead of just building to a ramp set or a max set. This is a very standard protocol. And what they found was that both groups gained the same amount of muscle. Over 8 weeks, they couldn't see any measurable difference in the amount of hypertrophy that the bodybuilding group gained versus the powerlifting group. However, the powerlifting group gained more strength. More on the bench press. They all got somewhat stronger on the squat. Apparently, there was a tendency towards a strength improvement on the squat, but the bench press was across the board. And this is what you would expect, that the high rep group would gain more work capacity and strength stamina, that the power group with the sets of 3 would gain more maximum strength on their 1 rep maxes, and both would gain very similar amounts of muscle mass. That is what anyone who's worked with athletes would tell you will happen. And that is what the study found. Now, it's certainly not conclusive because I don't have the full study available, and it was only with 17 test subjects, but it is a bit of data studying something we don't regularly study enough, kind of showing that the anecdotal evidence of what coaches note in the real world is actually the way it works, and that these hypothetical models that are coming out of the bodybuilding world and the bro world aren't actually true when you study them or when you observe them in real athletes. Powerlifters are stronger because they train heavier, but usually if they're on similar amounts of drugs with similar amounts of genetics, they are about the equal size to a bodybuilder with the same amount of training experience. So both produce similar hypertrophy. One will make you stronger on maximum strength, and the other will give you more strength stamina. And both have their places for all types of athletes. Powerlifters should still be using 10 rep sets sometimes, and bodybuilders should probably be using 3 rep sets sometimes. So check it out for those who are interested, and if anyone can get a full copy of this, let me know and send it to me. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.